Pompeii preserved ancient Roman city in Campania, Italy, 14 miles southeast of Naples, at the southeastern base of Mount Vesuvius. Around noon on August 24, 79 CE, a huge eruption from Mount Vesuvius showered volcanic debris over the city of Pompeii, followed the next day by clouds of blisteringly hot gases. Buildings were destroyed, the population was crushed or asphyxiated, and the city was buried beneath a blanket of ash and pumice. For many centuries, Pompeii slept beneath its pall of ash, which perfectly preserved the remains. When these were finally unearthed in the 1700s, the world was astonished at the discovery of a sophisticated Greco-Roman city frozen in time. Grand public buildings included an impressive forum and an amphitheater. Lavish villas and all kinds of houses, dating back to the 4th century BCE, were also uncovered. Inside were some preserved remains of people sheltering from the eruption. Others lay buried as they fled. Bakeries were found with loaves still in the ovens. The buildings and their contents revealed day-to-day life in the ancient world and stirred 18th century interest in all things classical. Pompeii was built on a spur formed by a prehistoric lava flow to the north of the mouth of the Sarnus, modern River. Herculaneum, Stabiae, Torre Annunziata, and other communities were destroyed along with Pompeii. Pompeii, Herculaneum, and Torre Annunziata were collectively designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1997. Pompeii supported between 10,000 and 20,000 inhabitants at the time of its destruction. The modern town of Pompeii lies to the east and contains the Basilica of Santa Maria del Rosario, a pilgrimage center. Imagine stepping into a moment frozen in time, where ancient streets, public spaces, and everyday life have been preserved just as they were nearly 2 millennia ago. This isn't a fantasy, it's Pompeii, the Roman city buried in volcanic ash after the catastrophic eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. For over 1,500 years, the city lay entombed beneath layers of ash and pumice, untouched by weather or war. Today, Pompeii offers an unparalleled window into ancient urban life, acting as a time capsule of Roman society, culture, and architecture. Located in southern Italy near the Bay of Naples, Pompeii sits at the base of Mount Vesuvius, a volcano that looms ominously above the region. Despite the eventual devastation it caused, Vesuvius was once considered a blessing. Its fertile volcanic soil made the surrounding lands ideal for agriculture. Add to that its proximity to maritime trade routes, and Pompeii was a thriving hub for both commerce and settlement. The city's origins date back to the 7th century BCE, when it was founded by the Oscans, an Italic tribe indigenous to the region. Over time, Greek colonists settled in the area, introducing new customs and architectural styles. Eventually, Pompeii fell under Roman control around 80 BCE and began to flourish under Roman administration. Monumental public buildings, elaborate villas, and infrastructure like roads and aqueducts transformed the town into a bustling provincial city. What makes Pompeii especially fascinating is its multicultural character. According to archaeologist and historian Darius Aria, evidence from ongoing excavations reveals that Pompeii was home to a diverse population drawn from across the Mediterranean. As a port city, it attracted traders, laborers, and immigrants from distant lands, creating a dynamic and cosmopolitan atmosphere. Cities like Pompeii and Ostia, Aria notes, should be seen as multi-ethnic centers of exchange, blending Roman culture with influences from across the empire. Walking through Pompeii today, visitors encounter a network of stone-paved streets, many averaging 4.5 meters wide. The Romans had a highly developed sense of urban planning, and Pompeii's streets were designed using a 1.1 ratio, meaning the width of the road often matched the height of the adjacent buildings, creating balanced proportions and light-filled corridors. Stepping stones were strategically placed at crossings, so pedestrians could traverse streets without stepping into puddles of rainwater, sewage, or waste from animals. Deep wheel ruts, etched permanently into the stone roads, testify to centuries of cart traffic along fixed routes. Scattered throughout the city are fountains, vital in a climate as warm as southern Italy's. These weren't merely decorative, they were essential infrastructure, connected to a sophisticated water distribution system fed by aqueducts and lead pipes. The fountains served as public access points where residents could drink, wash, and find relief from the heat. Many of them were adorned with mosaics or carvings of Roman deities, like the face of Mercury, the fleet-footed god of commerce and communication, blending function with artistic beauty. Pompeii's architectural style is also distinct, often featuring a striking palette of red and white. These colors were not only used to paint the interiors and exteriors of buildings, but also to create tituli picti, painted advertisements and announcements on walls. These inscriptions promoted everything from local elections to bakery products, offering a glimpse into the marketing practices of the ancient world. The layout of the city followed the Roman preference for orthogonal grids. Streets were organized in a clear rectangular pattern. Two primary roads intersected the city, the Cardo running north to south, and the Decumanus running east to west. At the heart of the city was the Forum, an open public space that served as the political, economic, and religious center of civic life. This grand rectangular plaza was ringed by important buildings, including marketplaces, administrative offices, and temples. One of the most commanding structures within the Forum was the Temple of Jupiter. Positioned to dominate the square, it stood as a symbol of Roman authority and religious devotion. Its alignment with Mount Vesuvius in the background created a dramatic skyline, reinforcing the presence of divine power in both nature and architecture. This temple in Pompeii echoed the famous Temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus in Rome itself, reminding visitors that, even in a provincial city, Rome's gods and governance reigned supreme. When the Romans took control of Pompeii, they not only absorbed it politically but transformed it architecturally and culturally. Today, the ruins reveal a richly layered history, a city shaped by native Italic traditions, Hellenistic influences, and Roman imperial design. And because Pompeii was preserved so abruptly and completely, it offers something rare in archaeology. A vivid, detailed, and immersive snapshot of life in a Roman city on an ordinary day, before everything changed in an instant. It seems certain that Pompeii, Herculaneum, and nearby towns were first settled by Oscan-speaking descendants of the Neolithic inhabitants of Campania. Archaeological evidence indicates that the Oscan village of Pompeii, strategically located near the mouth of the Sarnus River, soon came under the influence of the cultured Greeks, who had settled across the bay in the 8th century BCE. Greek influence was challenged, however, when the Etruscans came into Campania in the 7th century. The Etruscans' influence remained strong until their sea power was destroyed by King Hieron IV of Syracuse in a naval battle off Cumae in 474 BCE. A second period of Greek hegemony followed. Then, toward the end of the 5th century, the warlike Samnites, an Italic tribe, conquered Campania, and Pompeii, Herculaneum, and Stabiae became Samnite towns. Pompeii is first mentioned in history in 310 BCE, when, during the Second Samnite War, a Roman fleet landed at the Sarnus port of Pompeii, and from there made an unsuccessful attack on the neighboring city of Nuceria. At the end of the Samnite Wars, Campania became a part of the Roman Confederation, and the cities became allies of Rome. But they were not completely subjugated and Romanized until the time of the Social War. Pompey joined the Italians in their revolt against Rome in this war and was besieged by the Roman general Lucius Cornelius Sulla in 89 BCE. After the war, Pompey, along with the rest of Italy south of the Po River, received Roman citizenship. However, as a punishment for Pompey's part in the war, a colony of Roman veterans was established there under Publius Sulla, the nephew of the Roman general. Latin replaced Oscan as the official language, and the city soon became Romanized in institutions, architecture, and culture. A riot in the amphitheater at Pompeii between the Pompeians and the Nucerians in 59 CE is reported by the Roman historian Tacitus. An earthquake in 62 CE did great damage in both Pompeii and Herculaneum. The cities had not yet recovered from this catastrophe when final destruction overcame them 17 years later. Mount Vesuvius erupted on August 24, 79 CE. A vivid eyewitness report is preserved in 2 letters written by Pliny the Younger to the historian Tacitus, who had inquired about the death of Pliny the Elder, commander of the Roman fleet at Misenum. Pliny the Elder had rushed from Misenum to help the stricken population and to get a close view of the volcanic phenomena, and he died at Stabii. Site excavations and volcanological studies, notably in the late 20th century, have brought out further details. Just after midday on August 24th, fragments of ash, pumice, and other volcanic debris began pouring down on Pompeii, quickly covering the city to a depth of more than 9 feet, 3 meters, and causing the roofs of many houses to fall in. Surges of pyroclastic material and heated gas, known as nuées ardentes, reached the city walls on the morning of August 25th, and soon asphyxiated those residents who had not been killed by falling debris. Additional pyroclastic flows and rains of ash followed, adding at least another 9 feet of debris, and preserving in a pall of ash the bodies of the inhabitants who perished while taking shelter in their houses or trying to escape toward the coast, or by the roads leading to Stabii or Nuceria. Thus Pompeii remained buried under a layer of pumice stones and ash, 19 to 23 feet, 6 to 7 meters deep. The city's sudden burial served to protect it for the next 17 centuries from vandalism, looting, and the destructive effects of climate and weather. The ruins at Pompeii were first discovered late in the 16th century by the architect Domenico Fontana. Herculaneum was discovered in 1709, and systematic excavation began there in 1738. Work did not begin at Pompeii until 1748, and in 1763, an inscription, Re Publicae Pompeianorum, was found that identified the site as Pompeii. The work at these towns in the mid-18th century marked the start of the modern science of archaeology. Under the patronage of Don Carlos, King of Naples, the military engineer Carl Weber carried out systematic studies from 1750 to 1764, but early digging was often haphazard and irresponsible, carried out by treasure seekers or other untrained workers. Haphazard digging was brought to a stop in 1860 when the Italian archaeologist Giuseppe Fiorelli became director of the excavations. Areas lying between excavated sites were cleared and carefully documented. Pompeii was divided into 9 regions. The insulae blocks in each region were numbered, and each door on the street was given a number, so that each house could be conveniently located by 3 numerals. Fiorelli also developed the technique of making casts of bodies by pouring cement into the hollows formed in the volcanic ash where the bodies had disintegrated. In 1951, after the interruption caused by World War II, intensive excavation was resumed under Amedeo Maiuri, who was in charge of the excavations from 1924 to 1961. Large areas were uncovered to the south of the Via dell'Abbondanza, in regions 1 and 2, and the debris piled outside the city walls was cleared away. This revealed the Porta, Gate di Notera, and an impressive stretch of cemetery lining each side of the road, leading from the gate to Nuceria. By the 1990s, about 2/3 of the city had been excavated. The extent of the archaeological sites makes them of the greatest importance, for they provide a unique source of information about so many aspects of social, economic, religious, and political life of the ancient world. The many well-preserved house shrines give a hitherto unexpected picture of the vitality of religion in the family. The bakeries, complete with mills, kneading machines, and ovens, some still containing loaves of bread, show how this staple of everyday life was produced. Numerous fulleries, processing and cleaning plants for wool, make it possible to study this important industry. The shops of the sculptor, toolmaker, and gem cutter, as well as the factories for garum, fish sauce, and lamps, and the many wine and food shops, document other aspects of ancient life. Pompeii was a busy port town that exported products throughout the Mediterranean region. Merchants and tradesmen found food and lodging near the city gates and the Forum. Some restaurants and inns were quite attractive and served food to guests, who reclined in the garden. In the cheaper places, the rooms were small and dark, and customers sat on stools. Inscriptions provide further information. They include monumental inscriptions on public buildings, tombs, and statue bases. The business transactions recorded in the famous wax tablets of the banker Lucius Caecilius Jucundus, announcements of gladiatorial combats, and many election notices, echoes of hotly fought contests. Preserved in the graffiti are accounts, lists of market days, insults and accusations, the exchanges of lovers, quotations from Virgil, word puzzles like the Satyr Square, and even the scratched alphabets of children. Epigraphical and archaeological evidence makes it possible to study the stratification of society and learn more of the freedmen, slaves, small businessmen, and aristocrats of the ancient Roman world. Further, Pompeii offers the best opportunity for the study of city planning and land use in an ancient city. Excavations since the mid-20th century have revealed an unexpected amount of open land. The large insula across from the amphitheater was not the Foro Boario, cattle market, as had been long supposed, but a vineyard. Many vineyards, fruit trees, and gardens have been found, indicating less intensive land use and a smaller population than had been thought. Unfortunately, the excavations are constantly endangered by the ravages of weather, tourist traffic at the site, and destructive vegetation. Reinforced concrete roofs were applied to many structures in the 1950s, but over subsequent decades, this protective measure made upkeep difficult as some of the concrete deteriorated. In 1995, Pietro Giovanni Guzzo was made superintendent of the site, and existing conservation efforts were revitalized and expanded. Despite such actions, however, Pompeii continued to face numerous problems, including degradation, mismanagement, and vandalism. In July 2008, the Italian government took the unprecedented step of declaring a one-year state of emergency for the site and appointed a special commissioner to oversee Pompeii. Of first importance is the preservation, restoration, and study of the valuable evidence already uncovered before it is lost forever.